What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get to in the world of volleyball. As the U.S. women's national team, they took on Italy in the VNL Women's Quarterfinals. But unfortunately, they fell short to the eventual champions, whereas Italy just pretty much steamrolled everybody, except for one opponent who pretty much had themselves a great run to the championship. And the U.S. men's national team unfortunately had themselves a rough week. It just wasn't enough to make the championship round. Will the U.S. men's national team be able to have better luck in the Olympics, or will they not be able to make the top 8 altogether? Also, the pools have been released for the Olympics on the women's side, as I'll be getting on into which pool will be the most daunting and who could most likely come out. Also, a 2026 high school girls volleyball commit has committed to Wisconsin. Who is this player, and what do I have to say about it? Hand me one, step to next, because I'm about to show you up the volleyball action here on Set Point. It's Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of Set Point here on IESR Radio, your direct feed of all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 252 of Set Point. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, especially Facebook, and on TikTok at IE Sports Radio. And we also have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our fans of the month, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as Set Point, and our merchandise shop, which you have the options of having the choice of having hats, caps, t-shirts, tank tops, even some stickers, and from what I'm hearing, we might have some tumblers. So get yourself some IE Sports Radio swag ASAP. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports stadiums around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Definitely do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms, as well as our podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, GeoSavin, Spreaker. The list goes on and on, as well as YouTube. So like and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. And we would also like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, as well as Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And without any further delay, let's get on into what those two are all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Definitely do check out Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B, as well as Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. We appreciate those two for being the official sponsors of IE Sports Radio and for helping keep the lights on. The way you can follow Set Point on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie, and on Instagram at set_point.IESR. I also have a Facebook page, which I know most people don't really use Facebook that much, but I definitely need to get it going just because it's part of social media. I will definitely be getting that Facebook page fully off the ground once volleyball season restarts and once I go to like more matches and whatnot. So definitely do follow Set Point, like and follow it on Facebook as well. And the way you can follow me personally is on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's where I'm mainly active on social media, at Teran Rodriguez 1. Without any further delay, let's get on into that volleyball action. So we have to start off with the U.S. women's national team, as well as the VNL women's side of things. So unfortunately for the U.S. women's national team, they fell to Italy in the VNL quarterfinals. And Italy, like I mentioned in the introduction, Italy wound up pretty much winning it all. Spoiler alert, they did win it all, and there's a reason why they won it all. So in this matchup, Italy wound up sweeping the U.S. 25-21, 25-21, and 25-23. I will just say the U.S. pretty much gave it all that they had. I know the U.S. just recently took on Italy, and they wound up losing to them in 4 the previous time. But I will just say I had a feeling Italy was going to be a tough uphill climb for them. There's a reason why they finished second in the pool play or the preliminary round. And Italy is a darn good team. They only had 10 hitting errors or 10 errors altogether. Well, 10 scoring errors altogether. It's a little different in FIVB and whatnot, but I digress. So, yeah, only 10 scoring errors altogether for Italy, while the U.S. had 23. That's not going to really get the job done. The U.S. also had, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. They managed to win the ace category 3-1, even though that's not big. And then they also won the kill category, which is pretty good. But it just goes to show that you got to score more points than the other team, and you have to win 3 sets, as Paul Sunderland once said. Avery Skinner did have herself a nice little game. She led the U.S. with 11 points. Dana Redke also had herself a nice little game as well. But unfortunately, it was just not enough. So my takeaway for this is, I will say, this was kind of expected. I don't want to say that the U.S. just straight up stunk, but I feel they left a lot of meat on the bone. I feel this wasn't really their best showing. Obviously, the record showed it in the preliminary round. This loss obviously showed it. And I feel there are still some questions that need to be answered when it comes to this team. But thankfully, they have more opportunities to basically kick off the rust and basically show what they're truly made of. They faced the Netherlands in Long Beach on July 10th, 12th, and the 14th of next week. If you haven't got your tickets, get them right now. No, this video is not sponsored by USA Volleyball. But I will just say that's going to be a good little final tune-up before the U.S. has to fly off to Paris, France to play in the Olympics. I will be getting into those pools a little bit later, but I feel the U.S. definitely has some upside still. My big thing is, can they keep up with the likes of the other powerhouses in the international scene, like Brazil, Slovenia, Japan, which is on the rise, China, which is pulling off win after win after win, Turkey. The list goes on. And I feel the U.S. again, they just left a lot of meat on the bone when it came to this loss. But I think they'll still be fine. I really will be interested to see how they fare against Netherlands. I definitely think they have a lot of upside to them. But Evan, if I'm being realistic, I just want them to actually do good. I actually want them to make the top 8 in terms of the Olympics. They are the reigning gold medalists, and there is a big target on them. So it's kind of like the Denver Nuggets of the NBA, where they basically wound up winning the NBA championship, and then the following year they just had a little bit of a letdown. I'm just hoping that's not the case for the U.S., just because they're a well-coached team. Karchkrai does a great job with his team. He has a great staff, and the players just really are dialed in, and they still have talent. The problem is, can the youngins step up? Like Dana Retke is stepping up, and Avery Skinner's stepping up. So I'm hoping the U.S. can really get the job done. I feel they can, but unfortunately, it's just a time will tell process. Remember, they'll be playing at Long Beach State against Netherlands next week on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, the 10th, the 12th, and the 14th. And again, get your tickets while you can, because they are going to be flying out of that ticket box. So that wasn't the only quarterfinal result that happened. So we had Japan taking down China in straight sets, as well as Brazil taking out Thailand in straight sets. Okay, so Brazil taking out Thailand, nothing against Thailand, but this was kind of expected. Japan taking out China in straight sets, that wasn't ultimately expected, but it's such an unknown rivalry, right? Japan-China is such a great rivalry. I think it's one of the more underrated rivalries, in my opinion, and I think that Japan really showed up to play. I really thought that Japan did a great job in this match. Brazil obviously did as well. There's a reason why Brazil went 12-0 in the preliminary, so I'll just say it right now. Brazil showed why they are the number 1 team in the nation. And Japan also showed why they are a bunch of resilient grit fighters and whatnot. And yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but they're gritty and they're fighters. So there you go. And then also to round off the other quarterfinals, like I said, Italy swept the U.S., and I kind of made a little mistake here. Poland defeated Turkey in 5 sets, not 3 sets. So that was a little bit of a copy-paste error on my part. I'm sorry, everybody. But Poland defeated Turkey in 5 sets, which, okay, I'm not surprised that one went 5. But I will just say the U.S., or not the U.S., Poland, Turkey lived up to the expectation. Remember how I said last week that is the match of the day right there, or the match of the quarterfinals? I know I said Japan-China is a great rivalry, but Poland-Turkey, that's such a great matchup. Like, Poland has really risen the ranks, and then Turkey obviously was ranked number 1 in the nation at the time, and Turkey's going to be such a big threat when it comes to those Olympics. I really think Turkey has a great shot at making at least the top 4. I definitely think they're going to be a threat when it comes to any team. So there's that for the quarterfinals. As for the semifinals, Italy took on Poland and Japan took on Brazil. Italy swept Poland, which I kind of am not surprised about. Salute to Marcus right there. Italy swept Poland, which is kind of not surprising. When Italy plays clean volleyball, they are tough to stop. They are very, very tough to stop. Now, Japan beating Brazil, that was a shocker right there. Japan was so good in this match. Japan basically took Brazil's grit and threw it right back at them tenfold. They took down Brazil in 5 sets, and that was such a great win. And my thing is for Brazil, my takeaway for Brazil is this. Obviously, them being number 1 in the nation painted a gigantic target on their back. But I will just say, Brazil going 12-0 in the preliminaries is a prime example of the preliminaries do not mean squat, because once championship round hits, it's basically a whole clean slate. You're 0-0, and you got to win 3 matches in order to become the gold medal champions. Unfortunately for Brazil, they fell to Japan, but it is what it is, just because it's better they lost now as opposed to losing in the Olympics. And I know they were number 1 in the nation, and I know everyone's going to be a little bit more skeptical about them, but I'll just say Brazil did the right – okay, I wouldn't say did the right thing, but the silver lining for Brazil is they didn't lose in the Olympics. If they lost in the Olympics, then we're singing a whole different tune about them. And I know it's tough, but there sometimes a loss can be good, and you can learn more from a loss than you can a win. So I think for Brazil, they'll be fine. I definitely think they have what it takes. But unfortunately, this third place loss did not do them any favors, as they wound up losing to Poland in 5 sets, 25-21, 26-28, 26-28, 25-21, 19-25, and 15-9. So my takeaway for this is this. My takeaway from this matchup is this. This is basically the third place match where both teams are probably thinking, why are we playing this match? Just for basically one more for the road, one more tune-up before the Olympics. And Poland is really showing its grit. I think Poland is going to be a big threat for the Olympics. Brazil, like I said, they'll be fine when it comes to the Olympics. I don't think this one hiccup is going to be backbreaking for them. But I will say they just got, as long as they got their bad losses out of the way. Going 5 with Japan and Poland is not bad. Japan, like I said, they're gritty. They play hard every match. And then Poland, like I said, they've drastically improved. And honestly, there's a reason why they medaled last year. There's a reason why they beat the U.S. last year in the bronze medal match. So I think for Poland, this shows that they are really good. And Brazil also is good. But I will also just say Brazil just got the bad losses out of the way. I think they will be fine. I would not be surprised if they wound up making the gold medal match again. So, but it also just goes to show that you could be so good in the preliminary rounds, but you could be really, really flat when it truly matters. And that's no knock on Brazil. I think this loss is basically the wake-up call that they need. But as long as they don't lose when it truly matters, they're not going to be compared to like the what's a good comparison? Like the Houston Rockets when they had Chris Paul, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. That's a good comparison because that team wound up being really good in the regular season and then falling flat on their face when it truly mattered. So yes, I'm such a riot. All right, but as for the VNL women's final, that actually went to the honor of Italy beating Japan in 4 sets, 25-17, 25-17, 21-25, and 25-20. So my takeaway for Italy is this. They just played clean volleyball that entire week. I'm sorry, but they just played so clean. Even Japan's grittiness just could not keep up with the likes of Italy. And when, like I said, when Italy plays clean volleyball, that train is not stopping for anybody. I'm sorry, but Italy just really played clean volleyball, and they only lost 1 set in the championship round of the VNL. Now, many people are going to say it would have probably been different had Italy played Brazil. Maybe, but we're not going to play the whole what if this, what if that game. We're just going to give Italy their props, going to give them their flowers, and basically just say Italy deserved to win the women's VNL. And as I mentioned before, they're going to be a massive threat when it comes to the Olympics. Now, Japan, my takeaway for them is this. They didn't win the VNL, but oh my gosh, this team is such a threat. This team's grittiness is going to be on full display. And their loss to the U.S. before the championship round, I think that was the case of them either not giving it their full force or the U.S. just having so much more urgency to make that top 8 and get to the championship round because they didn't want to leave nothing to chance. So overall, I think Japan is going to be such a great team, and they do such a great job each and every match. If I'm a team that is playing Japan in pool play or in the championship round of the Olympics, I'm quaking in fear. I really think that this Japan team is going to be very good going forward into the Olympics. I think that Japan could surprise some teams. And honestly, I really think that it's going to be a fun little ride for Japan. I think Japan can really do some damage. And that's nothing against the other teams. I really think Japan is going to be a very, very tough out for anybody. So Japan, keep your heads up. You definitely did a great job when it comes to the VNL Championship round. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you all can do. So that's that for the women's VNL. Congratulations to Italy on winning it all in terms of the VNL. I hope for their sake that they can continue to do great things. And hopefully we can see them back on the podium when it comes to the Olympics. All All right, but that's that for the women's VNL. We're going to take ourselves our first commercial break. When we come back, we got some VNL on the men's side to discuss with the U.S. men's national team, as well as the quarterfinals for this week. Keep it locked here. You were listening to Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IESports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Yo, what's going down? This is Spaced Out Sports with your host, J-Man, giving you all Houston sports straight from the source. Brought to iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. In this show, we're going to talk about everything Houston through and through, and everything. We're going to talk about the surrounding areas. We're going to talk about local sports, everything in Texas in general, mainly Houston, but we're going to talk about everything in the sports world. I want to hear from y'all. Y'all definitely going to hear from me. We're going to go from anything all over, from football to MMA to everything. Let's have a good show. I'm looking forward to hearing from the city. Y'all make sure y'all just check me out every Wednesday right here at Spaced Out Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
And welcome back to the second segment of Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as New York State of Sports and Spaced Out Sports. Those two shows talk about New York and Houston sports respectively, and we have amazing other shows that are dedicated to different sports or different parts of the region when it comes to those sports. With that said, let's get on into the second part of our show. So, as for the men's side of things for the U.S. men's national team, there will be no championship round for the U.S. men's national team. In other words, no Super Joe. So sadly, the U.S. didn't have the week that they were anticipating, and it all started with this one match. Iran beat the U.S. 26-28, 25-23, 25-18, 26-28, and 15-13. This loss was not good. Number one, as you can see right there, the U.S. lost to Iran for the first time in team history. It gets worse. Iran did not have one win going into the VNL. Not one, as Cat Williams would say. And look, I don't want to knock the U.S. when it came to this matchup. Iran had nothing to lose. And I will say I'm partially to blame just because I said the U.S. should win. I jinxed the U.S. I'm sorry. But I will just say you actually have to show up to the match. Just because Iran has 0 wins does not mean they're not going to put up a fight. They have nothing to lose. And that's the most dangerous team. A team that has nothing to lose is basically the most dangerous team. A wounded bear is the most dangerous bear. And unfortunately, the U.S. went straight up Jacksonville Jaguars against the Tennessee Titans, or just straight up went the Chargers or the Raiders when it came. They ran their playbooks. that's what I'm trying to say. What happened is, thank you, Larry. No excuses, USA. I'm sorry, but there's just no excuse to lose to a team like that. But props to Iran, their first ever win over the U.S. It's an impressive win, to say the least. But for the U.S., oh, man, it's losses like these where you just want to have that match back, and it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. Thankfully, it's just the VNL. It's not the Olympics. Otherwise, everyone would be really dunking on the U.S. I mean, you see, if you go on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see people dunking on the U.S. whenever they lose and whatnot. So I'm sorry, but that's how social media works. Anyway, so better matchup for the U.S. They managed to beat Brazil in 5 sets, 25-21, 18-25, 25-21, 22-25, and 15-19. So this match was a whole lot better match. And like I said, this was probably the second toughest, if not tied for top toughest match. Not in terms of record-wise, because Brazil obviously wasn't the Brazil as of like years past. But when it comes to USA-Brazil, all bets are off when it comes to this matchup. Like, you never can predict what's going to happen with the U.S. and Brazil. Sometimes Brazil will be on their A game. Sometimes the U.S. is going to be clicking on all cylinders. This time, the U.S. just had enough in the tank to outlast Brazil, which is one of their big rivals and one of their main rivals in volleyball in general. Whether it's beach volleyball, whether it's an indoor women's volleyball, indoor men's volleyball, you can never really predict what USA-Brazil is going to look like. And this one was a 5-set barn burner, instant classic, and great job to the U.S. on getting this win. They also followed that up with a nice little 4-set win over Germany, 25-23, 21-25, 26-24, and 25-23. Now, Matt Anderson really came up big, and he is a veteran when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. I think for the U.S., they need players like him to step up, but they also need young guys to step up. They need the youngins to basically put on their big boy pants and show everyone that they deserve to be on the team. And I know the U.S. doesn't have that young depth, but maybe John Sproul will be considering that in the future. I think that would be awesome to have some youth and not just have just all veterans. They just need the best players on the team to basically get on that court and show anybody who's boss. So this win kept the U.S. in contention for making the top 8, and they needed a little bit of help from some of the other teams like Slovenia and Poland, which were atop their rankings. Argentina, which was ranked ahead of them due to set ratio or better set record in terms of overall record. They had Bulgaria, which Bulgaria wasn't really the best team when it came to the VNL. So the U.S. had to take on Japan, and if they were to beat Japan, there would be a slight chance that the U.S. would be able to make the VNL Championship Round. Unfortunately for the U.S., they got swept by Japan 25-20, 25-23, and 25-19, which pretty much dashed the hope for the U.S.'s chance to make the VNL Championship Round. Now, my takeaway for the U.S. is this. For this entire week, it's this. The Iran loss was what really irked me. This was the tough matchup. Japan was the toughest matchup for the U.S. this week. In terms of record-wise and in terms of level of talent. Was Japan at full strength? Probably not. But I will just say that there's a reason why Japan was 7, I think it was like 7-3, if not 8-3, going into that matchup. But there was a reason why they had locked up a spot in the VNL Championship. And this match kind of proved it. And for the U.S., this was just kind of not having that first week really hurt them. And then facing a talented Japan team, that also kind of hurt them. And it should never have gotten to that point. It should have never gotten to the U.S. needed to beat Japan and get some help along the way. So I think for the U.S., this is kind of that wake-up call moment. And the silver lining is, just like Brazil on the women's side, they got the bad losses out of the way. And hopefully for their sake, they don't have any more of those losses like they did to Iran. I really just want, for the U.S.'s sake, I really want them to, not lose to teams that they can definitely beat. And I feel that the Iran loss was basically Iran was the better team. But still, no excuses, like Larry B said in the chat room. Thank you for tuning in, Larry B, and thank you for everything that you do. But For the U.S., I think it would have been great to have one more week of volleyball against other competition. Because when you face yourselves, it's great that you're facing yourselves. It's great you're getting practice time in the gym. But when you're facing other teams and getting that extra rep of work, you basically are doing yourself a favor. You're scoping out the competition. You're doing everything in your power to make sure that you are going to have that extra rep for the Olympics, to make sure you don't have one less week of volleyball as opposed to like the other top 8 teams. But unfortunately for the US, there will be no VNL for them, no soup for US, and it's just a back to the drawing board. I hope this isn't the case of they got to blow up the whole team and start from the young group. I don't think blowing up the team would be is a thing, but they just got to be young. And again, I don't want to knock John Sprague just because I got a lot of respect for the guy and he's a former Set Point guest. But I will just say maybe consider thinking going younger. But the veteran leadership is what truly matters, and experience also matters. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the U.S. men's national team come Olympic time. The pools have yet to be released, but I can guarantee you the U.S. is bound for the Olympics in terms of the Paris Olympics. All right, but that's that for the U.S. So the quarterfinals are set. Japan will take on Canada, and Brazil will take on Poland on Thursday, June 27th. And then on Friday, June 28th, you have Italy versus France. And unfortunately, I didn't put Slovenia's matchup. And oh, God, that's a big blunder on my part. I'm sorry, everybody. But you get the point. Slovenia will have their matchup on Friday as well. I'm sorry. And then for the semifinals, that will be on Saturday, June 29th. And then the third place match will be on June 30th. And then the championship match will also be on June 30th. So here's hoping that those teams, whoever can come out on top, will be able to, show anyone who's boss. But I will just say there's so much talent in this. And I will say for the Italy-France matchup, I will say, I think France is winning that one. France may have gotten 6th in terms of the VNL standings, but that's because they didn't really play their entire roster all that much. And if you look at Italy's roster on who they're rolling out, they've actually rolled out pretty much their B team. Now, I don't know why Italy rolled out their B team, but this is from what I'm seeing from their roster, and this is from what I've been hearing, because I know those rumblings. And yes, definitely hit that like button. Davidson Crooks, thank you for tuning in, my brother. It really means a lot. But for Italy, France, go with France. I don't think gambling is a thing when it comes to volleyball, but I would definitely pick France over Italy just because France, for me, if they have their full roster and they're facing a B team roster, I really think that France is going to be winning that one fairly easily. So there you have it right there. Just got to give that a little bit of tidbit right there. And yeah, it's a little mind-boggling why Italy is throwing out their B team, but maybe it's just to save him for the Olympics and whatnot. So anyway, so that is going to do it for the VNL men's portion of the show. So the teams that have qualified for the Olympics are as follows. They are right here: France, Slovenia, Brazil, USA, Argentina, Japan, Serbia, Poland, Egypt, Italy, Canada, and Germany. My heart breaks for Cuba as they just fell just short of making the Olympics. And if you're a Cuba volleyball fan, you have to be heartbroken. But unfortunately, it is what it is sometimes. But all in all, they had a great run, and they have a lot to be proud of. Unfortunately, it came down to their final match in the VNL. Had they won that, they would have made it to the Olympics. But sadly, they just fell a few points short. They were swept in their final match. But again, it is what it is sometimes, and you just got to learn to pick yourself up off the mat unless you're not coming back and you're retiring and whatnot. But all in all, my heart goes out to Cuba men's volleyball, and here's hoping you will get that chance to make the Olympics. But congratulations to those teams that have qualified for the 2024 Paris Olympics. Well, France was guaranteed because they're the host team. So do I really want to congratulate France? Of course I do. So there you have it when it comes to those teams that have qualified for the Olympics. And I'm looking forward to seeing what will be happening when it comes to the men's Olympics in Paris, France. All right, so that's going to do it for that segment of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we're going to discuss the U.S. or the women's pool and where the U.S. has landed in. And we'll also discuss a little bit of a class of 2026 commit to Wisconsin. So keep it locked here. You're listening to Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. We cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU. We cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
And welcome back to the final segment of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows. As always, check out Heart of Texas Sports with my buddy Drewski and the defining moment with Larry B. There will be some Olympic talk when it comes to all sports action, not just volleyball, but water polo, track and field, basketball, soccer, you name it. So let's finish the last part of Set Point strong, and then I'll send you all on your way. So it's official. The women's volleyball Olympic pools have been released, and this was released on early Wednesday morning from where I was at in terms of California. But the Olympic pools are released, and it's basically 3 pools of 4, and it's basically all these pools are so talented. So let's break down each pool one by one. So we'll start off with Pool A. You've got France, China, the U.S., and Serbia. That's already a daunting pool. So you've got the host team, France. You've got the U.S., which is the reigning gold medalist. China, which has been on the rise as they really showed their stuff in the VNL. And then you've got Serbia, which many people think Serbia is the worst team in this, but they actually aren't. Serbia is a darn good threat to this pool. I think Serbia is vastly underrated when it comes to this pool. And Serbia has given the U.S. fits when it comes to this pool. And China could also be a team that is definitely possible to pull an upset when it comes to this pool, or at least go 3-0. And heck, I can go as far as to say that we could have 3 teams finish 2-1 in this pool and cause a lot of chaos when it comes to this pool. And because I want to say the top 2 teams from each pool advance to the top 8, and then it goes from there. But for the U.S., it's certainly not going to be easy. I feel Serbia and China are big threats to them. France could also be a threat just because they're the home team. The U.S. just has to really cross their T's and dot their I's. And I'm going to get a good look of what we will be seeing in terms of the Olympics when the U.S. plays Netherlands. And, oh, no, not again. Got this little... Sorry about that. So, yeah, the U.S. really has to cross their T's and dot their I's when it comes to their matchups with this team. They can't underestimate anybody when it comes to this. So I feel the U.S. definitely might have their work cut out for them. But honestly, I am totally confident in them. I really want to see what they're all about when they play in Long Beach against Netherlands. So time will tell for the U.S. I definitely think they still have some questions to answer, but I'm totally fine with them. So let's see what you can bring to the table, U.S. I really want to see the U.S. shine and prove that they can repeat as gold medalists. Now, as for Pool B, you got Brazil, Poland, Japan, and Kenya. Japan obviously had that amazing second place finish in the women's VNL. You have Brazil, which is number 1 in the nation. Poland, which is on the rise, which just beat Brazil in the third place VNL match. And then Kenya, which is flying under the radar. When you're able to make the VNL, or not the VNL, the Olympics, you're still good. No, even if you're the worst team in the pool or you're the 4th team in the pool, you're still if you made the Olympics, you're still a darn good team, no matter who says what. I don't care if Kenya is basically the low team on the totem pole for some people. I think Kenya could still be a threat, but Japan is scrappy. Poland has vastly improved, and Brazil is number 1 in the nation for a reason. So I think Kenya is going to have their work cut out for them. Brazil, Poland, Japan is already a 3-headed monster right there. This pool right here, Pool B, is probably the toughest pool to predict the top 2 to come out, or any team to come out. Because Kenya can still... Kenya can basically have that any given match mentality, and they could have the underdog mentality, and people can count them out and say, oh, this team's not really that great. And then when it comes down to it, Kenya could actually pull off an upset. But it's all about time will tell process, and we will see what happens when it comes to this pool. I think this pool is the toughest one to predict. This has a lot of talent. And then for Pool C, you have Italy, Turkey, Netherlands, and Dominican Republic. So Netherlands, we'll also get to see how the Netherlands does when it comes to facing the U.S. when they play at Long Beach. Turkey obviously was number 1 in the nation, had a little bit of a tumble when they lost to China and whatnot via reverse sweep in the VNL. Italy obviously is really riding high off of winning the VNL on the women's side. And Dominican Republic can really still do damage. Again, if you're a team that made the Olympics, you are a good team, and you're not going to be underestimated by anybody. There's no such thing as a bad team when it comes to the Olympics. It's just that if you're facing other talented teams, that could be a daunting task. But all in all, for this pool, some are saying that this is the weakest pool. I feel that Italy-Turkey is, at a glance, Italy-Turkey will probably be coming out of this pool. Netherlands maybe can pull off some sort of trickery. They were top 10 in the nation going into the VNL, but you never want to underestimate them. And then Dominican Republic, you just don't want to underestimate altogether. But I feel Italy-Turkey is on a collision course to see who will be having the highest of the highs and whatnot. So all in all, for Pool C, I think that this is going to be another great pool. Like all these pools that I just mentioned, Pool A, I think if I had to pick, I'd probably pick the top 2 in that pool. I'd probably say the U.S. and Serbia. And then for Pool B, trying to think. Brazil, I could certainly see coming out of Pool B. Man. I really want to pick Japan, but Poland is so improved. Give me Japan. I think Japan somehow makes it out, and that would probably be the most shocking thing ever. And honestly, shocking for most people, but Poland is vastly improved, and they're definitely on the come up. And then for Pool C, this one's kind of obvious. Italy, Turkey. Now, I've been wrong before. Obviously, I'm not 100% right. Otherwise, I would probably be a virtuoso when it comes to this, or a psychic. But it doesn't really take a psychic to predict this. Italy and Turkey are basically... I mean, Turkey obviously lost to Poland, but that was such a great match. It was a 5-set barn burner in the VNL. And then Italy, like I said, if they play clean volleyball, nothing is going to stop that Turkey team. So I just think those two are basically on the collision course to make their way out of pool play and into the knockout round. So we'll see what happens. But that is that for the pools when it comes to the Olympics. So before we head on out, I actually do need to give a shout out to Audrey Flanagan of Miracosta Girls Volleyball, as she just gave her commitment to Wisconsin for women's volleyball. So I talked about Audrey Flanagan last week, and I was wondering where she would be committing to when it came to her commitment, because now class of 2026 girls volleyball players in high school can commit. And we got lots of players that committed. Some committed to Wisconsin, some committed to Nebraska, some committed to USC, like my girl, Laylee Ostavar. But Audrey Flanagan has committed to Wisconsin. So when it comes to this commitment, this is kind of not surprising, just because her teammate, Charlie Furbringer, daughter of Matt Furbringer and Joy Mackenzie Furbringer, she was her teammate in club volleyball and on Miracosta. So I think this makes so much sense for Audrey Flanagan to basically commit to be reunited with Charlie Furbringer. So, and honestly, if you've seen Audrey Flanagan play, she has a wicked vertical when it comes to her swing. She is just straight up phenomenal, and she's going to do great things for Miracosta in these next couple of years. And Miracosta should still be pretty good, in my opinion. Many people will say Miracosta might take a step back, but I think the Mustangs will definitely do some big things when it comes to the high school girls volleyball scene. But that's my little opinion and my little take on that commitment right there. I think that's a big get for Wisconsin. Wisconsin is going to continue to reap the benefits of a lot of talented players. Some people thought that they were going to take a step back after Dana Retke had graduated, but they're not going anywhere. Wisconsin is going to continue to be great, as always, and I can't wait to see what Kelly Sheffield's team can do. And that's actually a perfect segue to go in this little segment right here. So Kelly Sheffield actually just recently got an extension with Wisconsin women's volleyball, and it's a well-deserved extension on his part, just because he's done a great job when it comes to that program. He's obviously had that team in the Final Four, the national championship, and winning the national championship, and in the Elite Eight. His work and resume speaks for itself. And that 2021 national championship is basically the cherry on top. So, Spike Whitaker. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Spike. I did not know you were Audrey Flanagan's dad, so I'm sorry. So Charlie Furbringer was on Mizuno, and Audrey Flanagan is on SCVC. Yes, now this is why I gotta brush up on my club stuff. I'm sorry, everybody, but yeah, Charlie Furbringer was on Mizuno, and Audrey Flanagan is on SCVC. So my bad on that, but they did play on Miracosta. So my bad on that, Spike. I'm sorry. But anyway, thank you for the correction, Spike. I apologize for that. So anyway, so that's that for that little bit of news right there. But Kelly Sheffield, going back to Kelly Sheffield for a little bit, he deserves that extension no matter what anyone says. So if anyone says otherwise, you're lying. And salute to you, Spike. All right, but that's that for that little bit of news right there, for that little Wisconsin blurb right there. Wisconsin is going to be so much fun to watch. I'm going to be seeing them when they play USC. I'm going to do my darndest to go out there, because I rarely get to see Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, I've not seen Wisconsin in person once, and this year would be the time to see them. If I'm not going to be seeing them at USC, I'm going to also maybe hopefully see them when they play Louisville. Knock on wood in that regard. So we'll see what happens. All right, but that's that for that Wisconsin bit of news right there. So I guess I'll just close out the show with a little bit of NVA action because I, Teran Rodriguez, am your one-stop shop for all that is NVA news. So the San Diego Wild swept the Orange County Stunners when it came to that, when it came to their little exhibition match at Mira Costa College, and it wasn't too surprising. We did get to see Matt Prosser coaching, but there you have it. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. That was Evan Jersey, Spike Whitaker, Marcus Los Great, Davidson Brooks, and Ralph Calise, and anyone that tuned in on X, Twitter, on Instagram, via the iSports Radio account. It really means a lot. Definitely follow Set Point on social media, whether it's on Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. For everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Stay cool, as it is getting hot all over the place. And I will see you all on Friday for the South California Sports Show. Peace!